Got the piston rings today. These are this 78.50 millimeter. That's important because I actually had the guy I bought this from gave me, he had bought this piston kit for it, and it is the 79.45. It's too big. It doesn't fit the bore. Can't use that here. So, trying to stay as cheap as possible. Just went on internet, bought this. 16 bucks for a set of piston rings. So, I don't have everything I need to complete this rebuild, but I at least have enough. Have what I need to put cylinder back on. Working on some reassembly now. Parts finally came today. Just something to note. When you order the bearing, the connecting rod bearing for these, oddly enough, they're sold individually. So you have to purchase 2 of them. I've never seen a rod bearing. Of course, I've never bought ATV engine parts before either. So just note. I noticed a lot of places like Amazon and everybody that sold these sold them as quantity 1, only half a bearing. So you got to get 2. And this, like the standard size bearing, appears to be discontinued. So the one that you get is a 0.05 over. I measured. Seems like it's okay. I think it's okay. Tolerance wise and everything seems fine. So should be okay. Went ahead and put this together. I still need rings, and I may just do a whole new piston, but I can at least go ahead and get, I assume the previous owner had done all this part with the case together, so I'm assuming that I can put the case back together and finish this part afterwards. So right now it's just cleaning, a lot of cleaning. I'm going to get this surface all cleaned up here. Did verify the pump's oil good. Don't really know how to do like a pressure check on it, especially when it's in this condition, but definitely pumps oil good. So just going to get things cleaned up and get this case back together. I got almost everything I need for the top end, for the valves and such. Got the missing retainer. I think the only thing I'm missing now is just that big round gasket thing that goes on the outside. A lot of cleaning, trying to get all this stuff off here. I noticed, and I don't know if this is maybe what killed this thing last time, but tons of gasket material when they put the case together squeezed through into the inside. There was tons of it here in the oil pickup. Tons of it that hasn't fallen off yet. It's everywhere. It's all caked around the bolts. I thought when I was doing this I'd take the time to clean the outside of the case up really good. My problem is I'm not really sure how to do it. These cast iron engines I've done, just use Easy Off, works amazing. Degreasing and getting a clean surface that you can paint. Stuff's a little bit too harsh for aluminum. So you have to use, I've tried with Simple Green, and Simple Green works amazing for cleaning up a lot of this stuff, but for some of this where it's just got on the heavier grime and stuff, it just needs a little bit more. And maybe once we get it together and sealed up, try to clean up the outside a little bit more, but right now I'm just more concerned with trying to get it back together and see if it'll even run. I have no idea if this engine's even any good. In here, this thing's filthy. I almost wonder the way some of this stuff looks. Looks like it. I don't know if it had water sitting in it, or got water. These outer pieces, though, that are kind of semi-sealed, not sealed like internal to the engine, but they definitely seem to have had some moisture and stuff. As you can see, this is what it looked like before, after. So these are labeled. I don't know if you can see that or not, but basically both these, they say top, and then over here on this side they say first and second. These are these real cheap piston ring pliers. Just make it a little easier to put these on there without breaking them. It's not so much the top one, but the second one. Sometimes if you try and run them down, I don't know, just can sometimes put them in a little bind, it feels like. I think what I'm going to do is put some oil on this, and I think the best way to do this is to get this started, get the rings in the bottom here, and then we'll, as we start to put the two pieces together, the engine and the cylinder, we'll connect the rod, put the other pin in there. Just gonna coat this down good. If you're gonna put this together, fire it up pretty quick. Just motor oil should be fine. If you're gonna put this together, it's gonna sit a while. Use assembly lube. It's a little stickier. This stuff I'm using is actually it's a real thick. It's almost like an assembly lube. Get that off my hands. Let's see. Alright, so it should be good, as long as I don't pull that out of there too far. Got our wrist pin. And this is going to be the fun part. Alright, so what I discovered here. So the thing I forgot to do was, you probably saw it, gasket between the cylinder and the block. This right here, I was trying to kind of feed it all through. Discovered that it goes in after because it kind of fits in, locks in right there. So there's that one. Then this one is kind of, this pivots on that bolt down there. And we'll put the tensioner in here in just a moment. Just trying to get this as clean as I can. Got to get torque specs and tightening pattern. I gotta say I've never seen a torque process like this, but it's essentially so it's torqued to 18 foot-pounds, loosen evenly a half turn, torque to 11 foot-pounds. It says from that point tighten bolts evenly a quarter turn. Finally tighten another 60 degrees, 1/6 of a turn. What? Okay, I can follow instructions, so no problem. We'll do what it says here. We get a torque wrench. All right, so just want to document this. This is the harness coming from the engine. So what I've done, I think I need to remove this plug here. So this wire right here came out of this. This white wire right here goes back here on the back of the coil. So I'm going to take that off. And then I took this one loose from the bottom of the coil. I'll unplug this one. It's pretty obvious where it goes. And that should allow this plug to come off and all stay together with the engine. Alright, welcome back. Let me catch you up here a little bit because I kind of shut the cameras off and just tried to focus on what I was doing. Since I've never worked on one of these, I've never worked on a four-wheeler period, never owned a four-wheeler. Just really trying to concentrate on what I was doing. One thing, I had this, kind of where I left off was assembling this engine over there on the bench. Got it all put together, kind of got to thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if I'm even going to be able to put that in there with it all assembled. I was, but it was extremely tight. I had to zip tie the pedal down and get this for the rear brake out of the way, and then I was able to get it in there, get the mounts on. One thing I realized that I was missing, because I noticed how this was kind of floppy side to side. There's a bracket that goes right here, an upper engine mount bracket. Goes to the frame, those two bolts right there, rubber mount in between. There's a carb mount bracket that goes right here. I'm missing that. But anyway, I didn't want to put much more money into this until I knew that it was going to run. So what I wanted to do last night, I'm sitting here working on it. I wanted to make sure, trying to see if it had spark. Came across something interesting. Sitting here, got all the wiring figured out, back reconnected, and I wasn't getting any spark. And it's like, well, no big deal. I got a new coil that's coming. It's supposed to be here sometime. Not here yet. So I won't worry about it. So I went over and just sat down, turned the TV on, got the tablet out, and started looking at wiring diagram for this thing. And I noticed from the CDI box, there is a circuit that basically goes to the throttle. It's a safety feature. So if you're ever riding this thing and you're giving it throttle and you let off the throttle, but the throttle cable doesn't come back, like the throttle sticks open, it'll kill it. And you can see this in the cable too. So what I did was I grabbed my cable and I just kind of pulled out on it. You can see there's a little bit of spring loaded right there. You're closing that switch and that controller over there when you pull this out. When this is connected in the carb, it will keep that spring loaded on the butterfly valve will keep that open or closed, I guess it would be. And so anyway, so I picked this up, pull it out, crank the key. Sure enough, firing. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna maybe pour some gas into the fuel inlet there. Into the fuel inlet right there. Maybe just a little bit in the throat. And I just want to see if this thing will start. I don't know anything. I don't know if I got the timing right, the timing chain, all that stuff. Never messed with something like this. Automotive engines, lawnmower engines, but never anything like this. So I just want to make sure that it's going to run before I put any more money into this thing, because I have no idea if I've done it right. So I'm going to get a little bit of gas here. I'm going to switch cameras. Alright, so I've got my gas mixture here I put in this bottle. Let's see if I can do this and spill as little as possible. Okay. And just for good measure, we'll just put a squirt in there too. Alright. So I gotta take my cable, I gotta pull out on this and turn the key. Uh-oh. Okay. We're in for a second. Let's try that again. Okay. I'm going to do something here just to get a little bit better, longer run time out of it. Put a hose here on the vent. Put gas directly just to fill the carb bowl here. Should be able to run it just a little bit longer. So, it's good. No smoke. Alright, so the good news is it runs. The smoke just saw here, I'm assuming that's probably just that assembly lube stuff. I've got all those rings, that thick kind of stuff. I'll probably take a minute for that to burn off. And the reason why it's puffing from out here is I do not have a donut gasket there at that connection yet, so it's just kind of stuck together, so that's why it was blowing out up here. I just stuck it on there just in case it did start, so that it was maybe just muffle the sound a little bit for the camera. Okay, I think that's going to do it for part 2. Check out part 3 for the final reassembly, and we'll see if this thing will move down the road.